everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Sitdowns. I don't know, the ominous voice doesn't work. I guess I'm just overcome with Halloween spirit. Yay! I hope everyone else is hyped. I'm really hyped because I just finished yesterday doing my mask. I should have had it here right now, but it's like this bloody. Yeah, it's like a fleshy old grandfather looking mask, and then I took some acrylic red paint and just like put like blood streams on it. It's amazing. It looks so cool. But yeah, I'm excited. So hope everyone's Halloween hype is to the max, and you're gonna have a great day tomorrow. But we're not here for mask tips or costuming ideas. We're here for the sit downs. Today's sit downs, I wanted to talk about writing. Whoop-de-doo, right? Like, what a surprise. No, but writing, a very interesting idea of writing, and that's writing of, like, gruesome scenes, gore, depravity, things like that. So, meaning, like, I guess a really great example is I'm reading Stephen King right now. I just read one of the stories in the book, Full Dark No Stars, and the story is called Big Driver. In Big Driver, the main character, she is a writer who gets abducted and sexually assaulted. And what I want to talk about today for the sit downs is the level of comfort that you, fellow writers or readers, what is your comfort level when reading or writing, these depraved scenes? So well, I guess we should call this Depravity in Writing. Well, that'll be the title for this sit downs. I like that. But yeah, the depravity level. Like, what are you comfortable with? I know that for myself, I have a very high threshold when it comes to depravity in writing. If it's gore, if it's disturbing images, whatever it might be. Whenever I'm reading something, I always try to visualize it as best I can. A book is really great. It creates pictures in your mind. It stimulates the mind to to project these worlds that are created by the writers, and that's one of the beauties of reading, because each reader will get a different image, will get a different experience, or even if you get similar experiences, it's something that you can share with fellow readers. So when it comes to the depravity within these written works, what exactly do you see? Are you comfortable with what you're seeing? Do you even want to read what's on the page? I know for my experience, gore is not really that big of a deal. If someone, narrates that a head gets chopped off, or, there's viscera everywhere, or there's gray matter that's splattered all over the floor because someone got shot in the head, that's not really a big deal for me. I know my issue is, kind of like the female assault thing. That was a little uncomfortable for me to read, especially for, this story, because that was the focal point of the story. It was a revenge story, but as much, in order for a revenge to take place, there has to be some sort of wrongdoing. And, the wrongdoing in itself, the sexual assault, was a little rough for me to absorb. I will admit I don't like the idea of anybody being sexually assaulted, no matter of what sex they are. It's one of the scummiest things that this world has ever manifested. So yeah, as far as the depravity in writing, that is not quite my threshold, but it's pretty close. I just don't like it. Violence towards children is another, but unfortunately, these are the things that are real items throughout the world. These are things that happen. I would hate to think on a daily basis, but on a regular basis. And so, when writers, are courageous enough to capture these wrongdoings, for whatever reason they're doing it, for the sake of the story, for some sort of philosophical meaning behind the story, it is great that these writers do have that courage. As long as they're not just, kind of going on some sort of sick expedition in their writing, I think it's fine. As long as the depravity has purpose, that's what it comes down to. A lot of people criticize, like, horror films or the thriller genre, in filmmaking, because it's just gore. It's just, what is it? Torture porn, as they like to call it sometimes. Yeah, I do think there's a fine line. And it also goes the same for writing. A lot of people might criticize certain writers, certain genres, because it's just expedition of, you know, your darkest fantasies. But, you know, in the end, it comes down to writing is an expedition in fantasy. All, you know, it's an encompassing fantasy. That's what writing is. A lot of writers kind of get caught up in their own world, so they put it on the page. I know I do. Not maybe not for reasons to explore that fantasy for myself. I do enjoy storytelling, so that's why I write. But yeah, the depravity levels, I do think there is a fine line that should not be crossed, and if it is crossed, you know, for what reason? You know, why does it bring service to the story? You know, that's and yeah, it needs to have meaning. I know Stephen King does it really well. You know, I'm a big Stephen King fan. So it does definitely push the issue of the suffering of the protagonist for that short story that I mentioned in Full Dark No Stars. But other stories, you know, that I've read that have such depravity, you know, violence, gore, they do more often than not serve very good purposes. It's mainly just to paint a better picture, a more intricate picture. I don't often see these authors doing it just for the sake of doing it. You know, I mean, hopefully, I mean, it comes down to the idea. You know, self-respecting author would do that. But you know, I guess some people would just do it for the fun of it. I mean, that's also part of writing. You know, I just do it for the fun of it. Yeah. So I mean, that's where I stand on it. You know, depravity in writing. You know, you use it for a reason. If not, then don't use it. Um, it does make a great impact. It does show you the realism of the world that that writing is emulating. Because you know, literature is just an emulation of reality. You know, it encapsulates the truths of reality. So you want to make sure that the authors, you know, stick to that credo. Um, you know, for however way they do it. So, yeah, depravity needs to be included, I think. You know, it is kind of an unfortunate truth, but you need to have those wrongdoings, those crimes in the writing, because if not, it's just a pretty fantasy land, and not all stories are like that, unfortunately. It'd be nice, but there's no depth to it. You know, there's no happiness without suffering, you might even go on to say. But yeah, those are some thoughts on depravity in writing. How do you guys feel about it? You know, where's your line? What are you comfortable with? A lot of people have different stances on it. You know, whether it's, you know, their own ethical, you know, their religious, or maybe even you know, philosophical views on the depravity. Share it. Comments below, or feel free to message me on Facebook or Twitter or Tumblr, whatever you guys prefer. You know, let's talk about this. But hope you've enjoyed it. Hope it's a fairly relevant subject, because we got Halloween tomorrow. There's plenty of depravity for Halloween. You know, I mean, it's not uh, yeah, Halloween doesn't go without its fair dose of depravity. Not necessarily violent depravity, but you know, trick or treat. I mean, you know, maybe tricking is better. But hope you all enjoyed this edition of the Sitdowns for Depravity and Writing. Once again, I'm R. Adrianus. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you next week for the other Sitdowns. We'll do a review hopefully this weekend. Trying to think of what we could review for you fine folks. But until then, the mystery will forever shroud you. Not forever, maybe for the next 3 days. Right? Okay. Peace and love, everybody. Happy Halloween.